First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I hope their decision haunts them in death? My twin and I are the oldest of 5 siblings, all in our 20s. Our parents have always called me the good son, and have always looked out for my siblings. This includes my twin. My twin is the kind of person who can't hold a job, but it's never his fault. Despite constantly calling out and faking illness, he always takes but never gives back. You get the picture. But we always just brushed it off as his family. I, however, stopped with the enabling behavior. Recently, I was discussing my parents' wills with them. My twin and I don't make that much, but we get by. Our other siblings make okay to decent money. My parents told me that they intended to leave the house and a good amount of money to my twin. The rest of us would get equal amounts of everything else. I asked them why they would give so much to the kid who has done nothing but leech off them, and never helped when they needed it, despite talking about how he would any other day, but conveniently not the day they ask him. They shrug it off with, "He's our kid, and we know you can't carry him forever with how he's acting, so we might as well give him a safety net." I tried to protest, saying that their final gesture was basically further enabling him. I myself have stopped defending this guy. He is barely hanging by a thread, and he needs to learn how to make it on his own. I think this information would just make him smug and complacent, but my parents won't see it my way. I blew up at them, saying that they better hope this decision doesn't haunt them in death. Especially because my sister just finished her chemo and is still paying off her medical debt. The amount she and the rest of us being left would cover some of it, but still leave a bit for her to pay off herself. If anyone deserved to have a house and that much money, it's her. My parents later told my other brother their side of what happened, and he thinks that although twin sucks, it's ultimately mom and dad's money and house, so it's their choice. I think my frustration at the situation is justified, but I probably should have calmly explained it to my parents. Am I the a-hole for that outburst? Now for the top comments. I think your parents are pretty awful for worrying about the financial stability of a healthy moocher than they are about a child struggling to beat cancer. It is their money and they can do anything they want with it, but they look/sound horrible. As long as you are arguing that your sister should get more due to her vulnerability and not to increase your own inheritance, not the a-hole. Maybe you and your other siblings can donate your portions or part of your portions to her in order to help, if/when the time comes. Not the a-hole. I personally hate when parents play favorites in wills. It sets up terrible relationships after the last parent passes. I hope they reconsider. Yes, especially when it involves rewarding the slacker offspring. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, but remember this conversation when they need help in their old age. Really good point. I just hope the inheritance stuff doesn't extend to how they currently treat a daughter fighting cancer. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out of my car and telling her to never call me for a ride? A little backstory. I, 24 male, have a car rock. It used to be my grandfather's, and he would always have it in his car as a lucky totem, and had it for about 30 years, according to my mom, but he passed away when I was around 5. I don't have much to remember him besides a few pictures of us, his ring, a knife, and his rock. When I turned 18, my mom gave me the knife, ring, and rock because my grandfather wanted me to receive these on my 18th birthday. I keep his knife in my room, wear the ring every day, and in the past 6 years I've had kept that rock in my car too and kept it as a lucky totem as well. Sometimes when I drive, I'll have the rock in my hand and just rub my thumb over, and it kind of gives me peace of mind. I don't really know how to explain it in words, I guess. So on to the story. This happened last night. My friend Jane, 26 female, car is currently in the shop for repairs of an accident. She got rear-ended and it messed up her whole back end. So the past week, she has either been Ubering or asking friends to pick her up when her shift is done, and that's around 7:30 p.m. Her work is about 30 minutes away from me and she lives about 10 minutes from me. So last night, she called me at 7 and asked me if I could pick her up, and so I said sure, no big deal. So I picked her up and everything was fine, until I picked up my rock and started rubbing it. Jane asked what was in my hand. I showed it to her and said, "This is my lucky rock. I sometimes rub it whenever I drive." She asked to hold it and I gave it to her. She told me that the rock is stupid, and before I could say anything back, she threw it out the window. I screamed, "What the hell? Why did you do that? Jane said, rocks are stupid and lucky items don't work. At this point, I'm probably 5 minutes away from her house, so I pulled over in a grocery store lot and asked her to get out. Jane asked why I was making a big deal about, so I told her the meaning behind a rock. And finally, I said, until you find that rock and give it back to me, never call me for a ride, and you're not allowed in my car again. She ended up getting out of my car, and I drove to the vicinity where she threw it at, and I spent about 2 hours trying to find it. During those 2 hours, friends from our group called me asking what happened, and I explained my side. Most of the group knew the significance of the rock because I've given them rides before and they ask about it. Those ones are on my side, but the last few are calling me the a-hole because I left a woman alone to walk home in the dark. I do feel guilty for kicking her out, and I feel like I could have handled the situation better. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out of my car and banning her from entering my car over a rock? Edit. I will update if I do or don't find a rock. Thank you everyone for the kind words. It really means a lot. I haven't found it yet, but I'm getting a group together to help me search for it Friday. A few people have asked for updates, so I'll probably give a more detailed one on Saturday or Sunday. Now for the top comments. I hope you find your rock. It costs $0 to respect someone and their property, and she couldn't even do that for a friend that went out of their way to help her. Not a hole. I didn't find it last night, but I'm going back out today when the sun is out, so hopefully I can find it. This might be silly, but you should try calling your local police station, not 911, but the actual station, and asking them if they have any canines who need some extra training or something, and then tell them your story and say you're hoping they'll be able to sniff off the rock. They might dismiss you and the story as silly, but if framed as extra training, they might go for it since the rock would be coated in your scent and oils as would the surrounding rocks from your initial search, but the main rock should have the strongest scent to it. Not the a-hole. Who asks for something for the sole purpose of disposing it like that? You are doing her a favor. She can keep her opinions to herself for 30 minutes. I would expect an apology before speaking to her again, and no more rides until that rock is found. She tried calling me today a few times to apologize, but I've been ignoring all her calls. I probably wouldn't return them. She doesn't seem like a very good friend. Probably for the best she showed her true colors, even if what she did was absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I don't plan on calling her back, and I think this will end our friendship. Only thing that might salvage this is if she finds that rock. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not considering my brother-in-law, my former school bully, family? I, 31 female, currently have a sister-in-law, 31 female, who isn't speaking to me or any other members of my family because she's angry that I do not consider her husband, 31 male, family. Background. Future brother-in-law and I started school together in 6th grade. He and his best friend bullied me and my friends relentlessly. During that year, I had the misfortune of having every class with them, so it was a constant occurrence. I would go home and cry most days, and going to school was misery. During high school, I only had one class with brother-in-law, so we had almost no contact and never spoke to each other those 4 years, and I thought after graduation I would never see him again. Oh, how wrong I was. Long story short, after high school I met my husband, now 30 male, who is bully/brother-in-law's younger brother. We started dating and got engaged young. Brother-in-law freaked out and told husband he could do better than me, that he was ruining his life by marrying me, he was going to end up divorced, etc. Fast forward 9 to 10 years, husband and I have master's degrees, are happily married, 2 kids, etc. After almost zero contact during the college years as we were in different states, brother-in-law and his wife moved to our city while he is doing his medical residency. Not only that, they move in across the street because they like our type of house better than any of the other ones they look at. So family dinners with my parents-in-law and them become a regular thing. They end up having a kid, so now we do cousin get-togethers, etc. Brother-in-law and I rarely ever directly speak to each other. We mostly just inhabit the same space and are cordial. No one ever brings up the past. After a disagreement with brother-in-law's wife a couple months ago, she blew up and said it's like I don't even consider my brother-in-law family, and she thought I had gotten over my dislike of him. I told her I absolutely did not consider him family, and that's never been a secret. She hasn't spoken to me since, and it's causing contention with the parents-in-law who want us to be one big happy family. Pretty much everyone thinks that the bullying was a long time ago and I need to get over it, especially because his family. I contend that I don't need to, and that being cordial to him is fine and the best it's going to get. Am I the a-hole for still holding a grudge and not considering brother-in-law family? Not the a-hole. Has he ever apologized for how he treated you in middle school? That's how the reconciliation process starts, not by you letting it go. No. Many years ago when he was still just dating his wife, she told me that he told her some of the stuff he would tease me with, but he was never going to apologize for what he did. Then no, not an a-hole. He hasn't grown up. He's still a bully. Brother-in-law freaked out, told husband he could do better than me. He sounds like such a charmer. Not an a-hole. You are being polite to him, which frankly is graceful in the circumstances. If he had apologized to you of his own initiative, and if he had seemed genuinely contrite, then it might have been time to try to forget the past, since kids are a-holes. But not only has he not apologized, he still regards you as less than him. So you are absolutely not an a-hole. Not an a-hole. But why did you marry his brother? The info that his older brother was my abuser would have sent me running for the hills. I married him because he's a wonderful person and nothing like his brother. I struggle to believe they grew up in the same household. We were also friends before I even knew who his brother was. Would it have been better to drop him and refuse to have anything to do with him once I found out who his brother was? I know if someone suddenly stopped being friends with me just because they found out my sister was a jerk, I would feel that's unfair. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to get over the fact that my parents call our daughter by a nickname? My husband and I have an 8-month-old daughter named Karina. We loved the name Karina from the get-go and decided on it before she was even conceived. Important context, my husband is white and I'm Punjabi. I'm the only one of my siblings and cousins to have married a white person. My family's fine with it. But it's definitely a noteworthy thing because I'm the only one. This cousin is tall, this cousin loves to go hiking, this cousin married a white guy. Lol. My parents fawn over my husband and my sister's husband because in Punjabi culture, it's normal to flatter your daughter's husband. I guess in the olden days it was to make sure she didn't get returned to original owner. So my husband has always had a really positive relationship with my parents. When our daughter was born, immediately my family noted that Karina sounds close to the Punjabi name Kiran, so they jokingly called her Kiran and it stuck right away. It's not a joke anymore. They say it so naturally that it's legit her name to them. I never thought anything of it. All of my nieces/nephews have Punjabi names that we say with a Punjabi accent even when we were speaking in English. Everyone on my side calls her Kiran exclusively. My husband noted a few months ago that he doesn't like it, but I told him I don't think it's a biggie. He said we named her Karina, and I said okay, that's what 90% of the people in her life will call her. It's not like it's gonna cause some identity crisis. Yesterday, when my mom was visiting, my husband randomly says, I'm tired of you calling her by another name. She is our child, not yours. You need to respect that if you want to see her. If any of you are Punjabi or from another family-oriented ethnicity, you know that speaking to a parent figure like this is, oh my god, no. Like WTF. Stunned silence. My mom left immediately. She told my dad and he was pissed. He told my brothers and they were damn near seeing red. Again, for Punjabis, someone speaking like that to your mom is the epitome of fighting words. I told my husband 2 things. 1, he needs to get over the nickname. It's not that deep. It's not gonna cause an identity crisis and there's no damn control to fight over. My parents see our daughter maybe twice a week and just to play and spoil her, aka normal grandparent stuff. 2, he can never, ever speak to my parents like that. Any issue with them needs to go through me. I think we can salvage things from here. But if he ever said something like this again, and it got back to my siblings, things would go south real quick. He is mad that I'm not defending him or taking his side. I've listened as he explained her birth name is Karina. That is her identity. We can't let other people change her name. And I legit don't see a valid point. Our daughter is lucky enough to have a huge family that want to spoil her. Why mess with that? You're the a-hole. Imagine if this was the other way around. If you have given her an Indian name and your husband's family was constantly westernize it and refused to call her with the original name, all hell would break loose. Racist would be heard in every sentence. How he doesn't respect your culture, yada yada yada. Well, that's exactly what you do. You also said your husband had to go through you and not speak to your parents like this. He actually did, and you dismissed him. You are the a-hole again and again. They also said that he had brought it up to her, and the grandmother is something that bothered him before and everyone ignored him. Exactly. I don't know why she chose her husband if he is always going to come second. You're the a-hole. Your husband is raising a child. Concerned just because it sounds the same, it is not the same. You are saying he doesn't have the right to express discomfort over a nickname they chose because they think it's close enough. Newsflash, this man is the father of the child you made together. He does have the right to say something about it, and he doesn't have to go through you to talk to them. You don't even describe what the two names mean. After reading all the comments, I'm going with you're the a-hole. Because you don't seem to get that it's not just your child. Your husband is fully allowed to have an opinion, and he's allowed to voice that opinion. Any issue with them needs to go through me. Except he shared his issue with you and you did nothing. Because you don't think it's a biggie. But he does, and he's allowed to. You want him to respect you and your family and their culture, but you aren't respecting him because it's a white person thing, I guess. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.